Today is Monday, August 17th, 2026. Here are the day's main stories. We begin with news from Zambia, where security forces have arrested senior opposition figures following last week's presidential election.
The Zambian government states that 11 people, including leading opposition candidate Brian Mundubile, were arrested in Lusaka. They are accused of involvement in an insurrection plot, with authorities alleging connections to, quote, military plans involving foreign nationals and illegal military training camps. Mundubile, who was trailing incumbent Hakainde Hichilema in preliminary results, described Friday night's raid as an attempt on my life, adding that colleagues were shot in his presence. He had previously claimed victory and alleged voting irregularities. Observers described the vote as largely peaceful, but noted concerns about late electoral reforms and media access in the run-up to the poll.
Shifting to the ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe, Ukraine has launched missile strikes on Russia.
6 people have been killed and 4 injured in Ukrainian missile strikes overnight on Russia's Belgorod region, according to its acting governor, Alexander Shuvayev. A 14-year-old child was among those injured. These strikes follow what Russian officials described as the, quote, largest-scale attack launched by Ukraine this year, which killed at least 7. Ukrainian officials report 2 people were killed in Russian drone strikes overnight on Ukraine's Sumy region. Russian attacks on Ukraine on Saturday night also killed at least 7 and injured more than 39.
In the Middle East, U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy, Jared Kushner, is in Israel today after holding rare talks with Hamas.
Kushner is expected to meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This visit follows discussions with a Hamas delegation, led by its new leader Khalil al-Hayya, in Egypt on Sunday. The talks focused on implementing a U.S.-backed Gaza peace plan. Trump's Board of Peace, an international organization, had announced an agreement for the, quote, complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. However, Israel rejected Trump's 15-point plan last week, which calls for Israeli troops to withdraw and for Gaza to be rebuilt under a new civilian Palestinian administration. 8 Muslim countries condemned Israel's rejection. Hamas has called on mediators and the Board of Peace to compel Israel to approve the roadmap for the next steps.
A humanitarian crisis is deepening in Indonesia following a powerful earthquake.
Aid shortages and ongoing aftershocks are fueling fears among thousands of survivors on the island of Flores. At least 53 people were killed and some 5,000 displaced by the 7.7 magnitude quake on Saturday, the country's deadliest since 2022. Refugees are sleeping outdoors, fearing further building collapses, landslides have severed access roads, and supplies are dwindling in several parts of the island. Makeshift emergency rooms are operating in tents amid the rubble of collapsed hospitals. Local officials are appealing for urgent medical assistance.
Turning to a major legal battle, Meta Platforms is heading to federal court this week.
The parent company of Facebook and Instagram faces accusations from a group of state attorneys general that it designed its social media platforms to hook children, lied to the public about the risks, and gathered data on kids in violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. 4 states, including California, Colorado, Kentucky, and New Jersey, are seeking up to $1.4 trillion in penalties and product changes. Legal experts are comparing this case to landmark litigation against tobacco and opioid manufacturers.
In other international news, President Donald Trump has announced the United States will substantially reduce joint military exercises with South Korea.
President Trump cited his very good relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and South Korea's recent decision not to join the U.S. in the denuclearization of Iran. Trump called the exercises costly and totally inappropriate and hostile in a social media post on Sunday. Seoul stated it is reviewing the comments, adding it hoped a favorable relationship between Washington and Pyongyang could lead to meaningful talks. The annual military exercises were scheduled to begin today.
And finally, a severe Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has become the deadliest in the country's history, caused by a rare species of Ebola called Bundibugyo. The United States and Iran, meanwhile, have failed to reach a broad deal to end their conflict, blowing through a 60-day deadline. Iran has warned of a potential shift to an offensive posture. That's your NDP media briefing. Thanks for tuning in.